Welcome back to the LCS on the State Farm Analyst Desk. With opening weekend nearly complete, we've seen many approaches to the durable meta, but no one's approached it quite like the 2-0 CLG.
Yeah.
Let's go.
So, first game, they saw Sena locked in, put Seraphine in the bot lane. Next game, they had Sena, and then still decided to do Seraphine.
There it is.
And we've made a visual representation about their Seraphine priority. We have them every game, and then one other person that we could find.
Globally.
Globally.
By the way, this is globally. This is not the LCS.
Is it just major regions? Because I did see it, 100 Thieves Academy bust out the Sena Seraphine.
I think it was major regions, because...
Wow.
Only major
Okay,
regions.
yeah.
We're
Okay.
definitely not going into the depths.
Well, you
exactly.
just doubled
Let's go.
everyone else.
It's
Shout
now,
out to
So-
100
instead of
Academy.
this big, it's like there.
There it is.
So it's going up.
Yeah.
So I have another stat that's fun. Here we go. Total healing to teammates, 14,000.
This was yesterday's game.
383 in CLG's win
Yeah.
when
Sena, Seraphine,
they ran
Nidalee.
the Sena Seraphine.
And then the Nidalee in the
And
jungle.
Nidalee, yeah.
You know,
Nidalee's- let's see what Nidalee's healing
little
was.
top off every once in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, but still, those are
Sena did
that's
more
gross
than
numbers.
Seraphine.
Yeah.
This was also, though, Leandri's Seraphine. In game one, they did the
Yep.
Moonstone Seraphine.
Yeah.
Would have been even
Yeah.
more.
They could have juiced it a little bit.
Exactly.
Yeah, there we go.
That's a lot of extra health that you have to eat through. It's
And
a lot of
also-
sustain
Yeah.
that
Sustained.
allows you. What? Oh, go ahead.
Sustained.
Durability.
There it is.
There it is. That's a lot of durability. No, I mean, it's interesting how drafts like this ultimately then also warp how the game is played, on the Rift. And I think that's one of the strengths that CLG has with drafting like this, right, is, again, they have knowledge of how the comp works. It's a lot tougher for everyone else to immediately adjust to all of this healing, all of this sustain, all of the ability to sit around an objective, take trades, heal it back up, and then take the fight.
Watching Champions Queue last night, I saw a lot of Seraphine.
Yeah.
Because people are
there
like,
it is.
CLG is 2-0?
Yeah.
That can't be right. Let's play Seraphine.
Let's throw
I
Seraphine
think
in
that's
there.
what people are thinking. And it's kind of like when Ivern was played mid by C9 at the start of spring. Ivern just everywhere in Champions Queue. So that's one reason it's kind of fun to watch.
Yeah.
I'm wondering how sustainable this is, right?
Right.
Like, because they are playing well as a team. Dhokla is playing well as their new addition. But the team composition's like, have they just been two draft gaps? Or is CLG as like a cohesive unit on the Rift very good? And I think we'll find out more as we see more games.
Well, and that's a really interesting matchup for me because I also liked on the other side of the matchup, Licorice throwing out the Kale in
Yes.
response, right? This is something that we've seen across other regions, more specifically LPL. It was blinded, and then finally someone came out with a Nasus into it. But I think picking the way they picked it up in response as a counter pick was really cool. And she ended up being a major reason behind their success in the
Yeah, that was the game versus Cloud9, and even though some of those team fights were rough from Golden Guardian's side, right, they still ended up winning them because of the draft and what it gave them. So, you see Licorice right in front of you. He's always been somebody that wants to play something different. I remember last split, we saw Trundle, top lane.
Yeah.
We also saw Fiora when Fiora
Yep.
wasn't meta. Now it's meta, so we might see that option. And Golden Guardians as a team will be the team that plays towards topside, going up against Dhokla that has also showcased a lot of variance in his picks there too. So this is going to be a really fun game just from the draft perspective. So I'm really interested to see this one. The Doomer focus on the fact that we're now just seeing Seraphine bot lane. So,
Okay.
maybe it's just now Enchantress bot because you see the high win rates of just like Enchantress in Mage's bot lane. And if you know that you're going up against somebody that, by the way, Luger, a great carry player. So the fact that he is bought in on just playing Seraphine and Sena towards the bot side of the map means that it is just flatly good. Wouldn't be surprised to see Golden Guardians just outright ban it or have a strategy tailored against it.
I think,
absolutely.
So both times they've done these like double range bot lanes has been against Tahm Kench support.
Yeah.
So they're doing it against teams that have a very hard time forcing against them.
Yeah.
I am overall though just interested to see like if it's very exciting LCS if CLG is good.
Yes.
Oh,
Right?
definitely.
Anytime there's a classic organization that does well, the excitement is higher. So their 2-0 start, you want to see if it's sustainable. But I also see like Golden Guardians is a team who like you can, not that it happens all the time, you can use their name as a punchline. Like, oh, you lost to Golden Guardians, right? But they've been good, right? They've been so close to breaking through back when they swept TSM in 2020 playoffs, then got reverse swept by TSM like the next week. And then I think last split had close to the best early game in the entire league,
Yeah,
but were
Yeah.
unable to convert.
Yeah,
So
they were
to
really
me,
smart.
like, these are two teams that would be on the precipice of breaking through into the top scene, and whoever wins is going to have the inside track to doing so.
I think everything you say there about Golden Guardians, though, is what makes that day one of this split feel kind of like a letdown from the Golden Guardians side. Just didn't feel like they put much out there on the Rift. Better showing yesterday, obviously, with the win and the drafting alike. There are 3 scenarios that I'm curious about for CLG, right? As you mentioned, they've always played it into the Tahm Kench so far. So what happens when they played against another Enchanter, right? And you have more of a stalemate matchup. What happens when the Seraphine just gets banned away from them? And they just don't have that at their disposal anymore. And what happens when someone takes a Pyke, a Leona, a Nautilus, and says, we're just coming for you, right? We're going to skill check you in lane. We're going to try and kill you and try and run you over. We'll see if any of those come out today. Prediction time, as we got Golden Guardians going up against the undefeated CLG. Does CLG keep pace with our other undefeated teams in TL and EG, or do they fall here to the Golden Guardians?
I said CLG because, not just because of the Seraphine draft, but like Raz already pointed out, and we've discussed before, Luger is an excellent hyper carry player, right? So this is another team that I would expect. Maybe they throw out Twitch. Maybe they throw out a Cog, right? And so I do think this team has that flexibility, and I've also really liked how Dhokla has performed.
Yeah, and my power rankings had CLG 10th.
And you're firm this year.
Yeah, and I'm firm, so as a firm individual, I am flip-flopping to a CLG win against Golden Guardians. That was just for yesterday. So I am now a renewed Raz, where I'm back to my old ways.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yesterday, Jat said on the caster desk, like, I can't imagine a world where Raz actually holds fast to his statements, and it took us 24 hours to exit that world.
I wrote this down in case I ever had to doubt a CLG prediction.
Okay.
And it says, they perform inversely to community expectations.
That is true.
So they are going to lose.
So now they're going to
it's the
lose.
Golden Guardians.
So you're going Golden Guardians on
There it
this one. All right, that's what I love to hear, a split desk. Phreak, Azeal, they're stepping in for the last 2 games of the day. Let's hand it over to them now. Enjoy.
Thank you very much, Dash. Hello once again. I am back. I'm also Phreak. Both things are true. Third thing that's true.
That was like the most dad joke ever. I'm back. Hello, back. I'm Isaac.
Hi, Isaac. We're the Doug Duo. Welcome back to the show. Hey, you know, we're going for a more youthful look and dad jokes. The juxtaposition is exactly what gets you coming back to the LCS week over week. And speaking of juxtapositions, CLG 2-0. To start out the summer split. It has been a long time coming as we have seen CLG top dog. So by the way, if they win, quick maths, they will be 3-0. The last time they were 3-0 in the LCS.
Hit me with it.
CLG fans, think of when it was. 2017 summer. It has been 5 years since CLG's had a 3-0 start, and they are poised to do it here.
Yeah, they absolutely are. I think they're kind of bucking the expectations quite a bit. It is really, really exciting to see them performing at a high level. We'll have to see if they can maintain that, right? Because to be honest, usually every split there is one team that is kind of expected to be more towards the bottom, you know, has an easier strength of schedule at start, maybe has a hot start, and then we'll see if they peter off, right? You know, my big question now is clearly they have a very defined style. They're doing this Enchanter stuff, but it has worked very well for them. I think it's going to get banned today. I don't think they're going to be able to get Seraphine because very clearly it worked great for them 2 games in a row. So Golden Guardians, I think, would be foolish to let it through. And then you have to prove to me that you can win with more than just that strategy. If they come out with a very different draft here, look great again, then I'm bought in. I'm going to really start believing that CLG is, you know, like maybe a top 5 team, right? Maybe they can sneak in. You know, it's kind of one of those higher up spots. But Golden Guardians also cannot be overstated how much better they looked yesterday than they did day one. Because day one, they looked hopeless. They were giving up everything. They really didn't contest anything start to finish. They pretty much just rolled over and lost the game. Yesterday, they kind of just blasted Cloud9. They looked really, really good. We saw the Kale come out. That was very effective. They had better scaling, but they were also more proactive on the map. They controlled objectives really well. So it was kind of like a renewed Golden Guardians team.
Yeah.
So I am excited to see, you know, how these two teams are going to match up. And also in particular, how Dhokla and Licorice are going to match up. Because, you know, I kind of see Licorice as this guy who's like right on the outside of being in with that elite group of top laners, you know, the Somedays and the Impact and those kind of guys. But he can compete with them. And if Dhokla can compete with or beat Licorice, then like he's really getting up the rankings above a lot of these other top laners. And he has had a great first 2 games, has really impressed me, you know, did win Most Valuable Prospect, the MVP award for Academy. So, you know, best player in the league there. And you can see like he's made remarkable improvements from just last year to this year, right? And it is cool to see because it just proves this kind of like antiquated thought that like players who are older can no longer improve.
Right. You've played in the LCS and haven't won yet? Just quit the game, right? We're not bringing you back ever.
Exactly. And it's like, he hasn't played in the LCS for a long time. It was back with like Optic, you know, when, and I don't even think he started that split. I think he then came in to take over for, I want to say it was Zig, if I'm remembering correctly. Might be wrong. But, you know, it's been quite some time. So he did actually grow a lot as a player in Academy. You know, he talked in an interview about how he's doing a lot more VOD watching, you know, really went in with some very focused practice coming into this year. Worked really well for him in Academy, and thus far has worked really well for him in LCS. So we'll see if they can continue their winning ways.
Yeah. And I'm always excited as well, just to have teams with a defined style. It's the storyline we had for Team Liquid just earlier, where they're like, yep, we're really bot focused. It's all about Hansama and core, and we're gonna get stuff done. And so far, Dhokla's entire LCS track record, by the way, 3 games, because he played 1 last split, it's just carry tops, right? Okay, Jayce was last, or Vayne was last split, but Yone and
didn't
Jayce
go so well.
I know, it wasn't so good, right? But it's like, okay, I got the full support, and I'm on carries. Yeah, there's Seraphine gone. And so I am curious, like, because there are a lot of very good enchanters. We saw Sona earlier as well, right? Like, there are a lot of really good, just hard supportive bot laners out there that, like, Dhokla's gonna be on a carry every single game this split, right? And it looks good because he plays to the edge and has the backup.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I agree. There are more of those enchanter-style champions than just the Seraphine that can be a farming champion. You can also do it with like a mage plus an enchanter and be very successful with that. But my question is, like, does CLG have more prep than just the Seraphine, right? Because you talk about having a defined playstyle, and to me, CLG's defined playstyle was enchanters through bot, carries through top. But if there's only one enchanter that they can actually make this work with, then guess what? It's going to get banned every single week, and they're going to have to show us something new. So this really is, I think, a big test for them. Senna also banned away. So they're saying, no, you are not going to play any of that stuff that you did already. So unless you're willing to bring out like Karma Sona or something, it's not going to be what you've already won with. And I do think this is very, very intelligent.
We'll see what comes out of it here. Lucian. No, I saw Licorice, and then it's like, but it's an Ezreal. It's AD carry that starts with the L, so I just like, my brain said Lucian. Lucian was banned. Yes. I think we can
agree on that.
We can agree on that.
We can agree on the fact that Lucian is banned. Twitch is in fact available.
That's also true.
Yes.
Yeah. And right now, Dhokla is hovering Malzahar. All right, we're back on board. Ezreal locked in here. Danny.
Malzahar bot lane.
Yeah. Danny 3-0 in the LCS. Has been an Ezreal 1 trick so far this week. Golden Guardians gonna follow suit. And this Taliyah's through. Now, we saw Taliyah jungle from Kenvi on day 1.
But he had no setup. I hated that draft.
Yes.
I hated that draft.
I agree with you. I also think Taliyah mid is a much better overall champion. On red side, you can flex till the very end. I like Taliyah mid a lot. She is very strong. You still have a lot of that early power. Like, she's just an overall well-rounded champion. Want to see it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if it is going to go mid. I'm expecting it to go jungle, to be honest with you. Contractz has been a fan of the AP jungles, you know, brought out the Nidalee. And one of the things that I have talked to some of these mid laners about is the fact that they do feel Taliyah mid has some difficult matchups. So they're sometimes, you know, more happy to just put it in the jungle, have it farm for free where you don't necessarily have to interact, and then kind of have the power there. Sometimes easier to get those effective ultimates when you're coming out of jungle, and it's kind of less tracked where your position is too. But I agree, it is a great flex. Also really strong against champions with a lot of dashes. Wukong is going to be that. Sivir coming out from Luger is really interesting. This is obviously a very different style than enchanters, but it is something that is really stable, has incredible wave clear, and I do think enables carry top laners in a different way, but still enables you to play carry top laner, because you can just park Sivir mid and say, all right, I'm gonna wave clear forever. You got to do something else. You got to go somewhere else, and that buys time for someone like Dhokla, who's on red side, to 5th pick, counter pick top, and look for a really hard winning matchup and try to play through sides.
Yeah, I like this a lot. The move speed, of course, pretty valuable if you ever do group up. You're playing with team fighting top laners like a Camille, who's actually happy to group and play in those battles. As far as the jungle match is concerned, of course, we had absolutely 0 jungle bans, so both teams got what they wanted. Wukong is globally like kind of the guy, and if this Viego's locked in, So there's a chance it's Taliyah support, but
I think that's incredibly low chance.
I think it is incredibly low as well. So Taliyah mid may end up being the grab here.
I think it is going to be Taliyah mid. I think you had the right call there. Viego jungle. You know, sure, they could get really wacky and put it bot lane, but I don't see it. I think Taliyah support sounds awful.
Yeah.
You know, especially against something like the Ezreal Yuumi, you'd be really squishy to get poked down. So we're going to be assuming this is Palafox playing it, and we'll see how much he can move around the map on it to really affect side lanes. I also say, when you are going to be playing Taliyah mid, that further makes me think that you are going to be playing some sort of a split push hyper carry style top laner, really looking towards that. So if I'm Golden Guardians, I'm banning top laners that I think Dhokla would want to go towards, because very likely Licorice has to go blind. So try to really stop whatever, you know, you are most concerned about as far as those matchups go.
I'm actually really interested in some of the interactions in this game as well, individually. So Taliyah, I think, is a pretty good meta call in what we're seeing right now, kind of globally in the game.
Everyone has dashes.
Right. So Wukong has to E at you to do anything at all. And by the way, Taliyah rocks, if you dash over Taliyah rocks, they stun you.
You can't even reconnect with Yuumi, which is also really annoying.
That's the other part of it, right? Is it really, really, really screws Yuumi, because if she ever goes on or off someone, she is stunned. Being stunned locks your W out for like 5 seconds or something. She does not get to use either part of her passive in a team fight.
But I will say, you know, we're gonna have to see where the setup is gonna come from, because I do think Taliyah, you know, even if it's not from jungle, you still need some sort of point and click CC to really enable you to hit that fling consistently. If you don't have that, I just think Taliyah is massively weaker. So I am looking for some sort of engaged support. You know, if we're expecting it to be just a carry top, then I am expecting, you know, your Leona or something along those lines to come out here and to be able to actually set up for that. It is in fact Sona.
Sona.
And I don't think that they're going to play a tank top. So I am really concerned as to how the Taliyah is going to really function in this. You know, if you never have setup, can you actually effectively land that? Sure, there's Sona ult, but like that is not something that you can rely on to land all your flings. That being said, there's really, really good wave clear, good scaling with this bot lane for sure. Sona is a really strong laner. It doesn't scale as well as the Yuumi. Wow, blind Fiora. That is throwing down the gauntlet if I've ever seen it. Like, that is very, very bold from Licorice. I thought we might get Licorice going a blind tank and then an answering Fiora on the other side. He's like, nah, let's just play a skill matchup. I'm going to play Fiora. If you want to look for a Fiora counter, most of the Fiora counters are like really aggressive things like Quinn and stuff like that, that you have to play that is really risky to do.
Yep.
And we'll see if Dhokla has the confidence to do it. I mean, he brought out Vayne top last time when he played in spring, that one game. So we know he can bring out those types of things. But I'm really, really curious. You know, if he just ends up getting pushed into like, I guess I'm Gnar then it feels like Licorice has kind of won the mind game a little bit.
Guess some Gnar then would be the worst thing I would want to hear Dhokla say.
Oh,
yo, okay. I mean,
I got so baited. I got so baited. There was like 1 second left. And I was like, ah!
yeah.
Okay.
Jayce
is fine.
Yeah, Jayce
is fine. Yeah, he's fine.
You got played yesterday.
He's no Nasus.
He's no Nasus. All right, well, we are going to be on to the Rift pretty soon. Are also some fun interactions with Fiora. You can riposte during your lunge.
I feel like the champions trading is bugged out.
That's okay. We'll just get into the game in like 5 minutes. It's fine. So you can riposte during lunge with Fiora. So if you're like, Taliyah's remotely near me, you can QW at the same time, and you're coming in like, I'm taking rocks, I've been quote-unquote stunned, and your riposte is now stunned, and you're like, yoink, come and chase you down. So actually has some decent gameplay here. You can do the same thing with like Jayce if you predict the knockback. So there are some favorable things. One of the fun things about Fiora is, can you ever mind game? Because of course, riposte is basically instant. And a lot of the CC you're going to face, some of it has no telegraph at all.
Yeah.
Like Jayce, I don't think you can, even on land, react to just on reactions. You've got to be predictive or it's going to hit you too quickly. Taliyah Chef, yeah, easy. Sona ult, yeah, pretty easy. But there's some where it's just like, if you win the mind game, you just kind of just dunk.
And to be honest, that's what a lot of the matchups are, you know, for Fiora. When you're thinking about top lane, it's like very similar with Renekton, right? Like Renekton is playing right on top of you. You know, you have to anticipate when he is going to do it. One thing that I will say that is kind of very forgiving for the Fiora is parry still does damage and it reduces the attack speed, right? So it's like, as long as you hit it, even if you don't hit a stun, it's still pretty valuable. If you land that slow on the Jayce and then Jayce knocks you back afterwards, he is still slowed, has a attack speed reduction. So sometimes you can just get that Q in to follow. It was a trade bug, lo and behold. So unfortunately, client go boom. We are getting back into it.
We're not seeing Viego bot?
No.
Wow.
Yeah, surprise, surprise.
Yeah, I'm shocked personally.
But
Sivir jungle, I was holding out for it.
Sivir jungle would have been nice. W start on Raptors.
Ooh,
Yeah.
hits all of them.
It does.
It doesn't apply the burn though, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay.
Which
All
like
right.
makes
Well,
it just
FF,
really.
because you're
I
going to
know.
die to your first camp.
Yeah.
Um,
You're just gonna leash from
yeah.
Taliyah, the real jungler of the
There you
team.
go. But it's gonna be same picks and bans, so same draft. Will be an interesting one. CLG, no reliable engage really whatsoever on their team, but they can play heavily through sides. They can enable Dhokla, and I think that is going to be the key part of this game. Whoever is winning sides, I think, is really going to start taking over this game. If Jayce gets ahead and is really punishing this Fiora, then you have the ability to kind of go towards that side lane, potentially pull off dives, with Palafox getting over there with that Taliyah. But at the same time, if Fiora is winning inside and CLG just has to group, well, they have no engage, right? Like, it's going to be really difficult for them to actually, I think, have favorable 5v5s and really get the starts of the fights they want. So it feels like top lane is incredibly important in this one.
Yeah, I think it really is. I'm looking up, trying to find like a level of solo queue data on like how the matchup tends to play out.
Yeah, I mean, Fiora is just super strong in solo queue right now.
Right.
So Fiora is like the S tier of S tiers.
Yeah, she's very, very strong. We're seeing her in multiple leagues. So if you're looking at like, here's a fun thing, because there's some downtime, right?
Yep.
I'm a huge nerd about win rates and like looking at a lot of solo queue data. Not all of it applies to pro, of course, but you can get some good inklings. So as you mentioned, Fiora has really high win rates. And so when you're looking at like, well, show me like Fiora versus Jayce the matchup. It's like, well, Fiora's 50% win rate. It's like, well, that's because Fiora's like 54% win rate.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, yeah, she's still really strong even when countered. And so that's it's only part of the story. And so there's a lot of things you can look at when you look at online. So it's like, okay, well, how much did the matchup move down, right? It moved down from 54 to 52, so she has a 2% win rate drop when facing Jayce. Okay, cool, that's something. Jayce tends to do better than the average champion. But what's fun is a lot of the stats websites out there will show you things like the first blood rate of a matchup, or the first tower rate, or the first herald, which is like, oh, okay, at what points am I winning, and then at what points has it come over? So like, for example, in Fiora Jayce, which, again, Jayce is the counter pick, Fiora has a 55% first blood rate. Now, obviously, like, 80% of games, the first blood was like to a random person in mid lane. So everything's gonna like cluster toward 50%.
Yep.
But being plus 5% means Fiora actually, though she like quote unquote loses the matchup, actually tends to find first blood in the lane. First tower rate, actually also at 50%. Tends to actually find herself winning the lane outright by a very small margin, but like a little bit more than average, actually tends to have actual control over the lane.
I mean, one of the things with Fiora, and I expect at the pro level, Fiora won't have control of the lane. But if you ever do get that kill, whether a solo kill or you get a kill with Pridestalker coming up there and punishing Jayce, because Jayce wins this matchup by pushing you to your tower and punishing you there, taking plates and harassing you on range minions. That's basically how the matchup works. If Fiora can then chase you down and get a kill post 6 or whatever, or get a gank and get a kill, well, first tower can go very quickly to Fiora because Fiora crushes towers. The Q works on towers. That can be basically an auto attack reset. The E is also an auto attack reset that works on towers. You get the bonus damage and the increased attack speed in between your E hits. So Fiora crushes turrets very, very heavily. I do expect Dhokla to have the push. I do expect him to be winning early on. But yeah, I mean, the data on this stuff is really interesting because it's super easy to look at like, oh, there's a 54% win rate in this matchup. Well, maybe it's really hard losing in lane, but you're just way more successful in team fights. So your champion can kind of win more games in that way. And it is fun to dig into, but we are now finally into game here. Dhokla going to be playing a phase rush. Licorice going for grasp. So he is going towards, the very heavily indexing to what I consider to be the best laning rune for Fiora. And I think it's really smart also when you're playing against a range matchup. It's much harder to stack Conqueror and get value out of that against someone like Jayce, especially if you're expecting him to play phase rush. So with the grasp, you can just proc that on your Qs. If a vital especially is there and you get a Q, that damage plus the vital plus the grasp, you're going to be feeling really good.
Alrighty, well, we are getting ourselves into the game, and Licorice is side save with CLG's coach, FLICKR.
Thank you so much. With CLG on the precipice of optionally getting a 3-0 week, I want to know, what can you tell us about your approach to draft compared to everyone else in the league, because it's been very unique?
Yeah, I mean, we just came into the new patches with a really open mind because they changed a lot of stuff. We are a very fluid system, so we take a lot of player opinion into our consideration, and then we say what we think is good. And then I think we just strike a good balance of just making sure that we both agree on like what we think is playable and what is strong in this patch. And then we played it in scrims, and now we're seeing it on stage.
Any thoughts on how it compares to how the other teams have been reading the meta thus far?
No, I mean, I just think that maybe they were a little bit more afraid to step outside their comfort zone, but we did see Sona earlier today too, so some teams are kind of playing this style as well.
All right. Anybody on the team that you think people should watch most for the fans at home for the CLG lineup?
I don't know. I think we've just been playing really well as a unit. So I wouldn't even say watch out for one player. Just watch out for the team cohesiveness.
Thank you for your insight. Back to the game.
Always great to hear from the coach. And it is interesting. You have had a very different approach to the game and have been very open-minded, which I love. I'm always a big fan of that. One thing concerning, I think Luger forgot to buy potions because he didn't spend all his gold.
He started with a control ward. It's to the right side of mid lane.
Okay.
So yeah, I saw
missed
that
the
too.
drop of that. I just saw him with the tier. That's really interesting then, that he's actually forgoing the potions against Yuumi Ezreal, who can be pretty heavy in poke. Of course, there is some protection there with the Sona. So I'm glad you caught that.
Yeah.
Because that is really, really interesting.
Yeah, so I actually like Sivir into Yuumi specifically because Prowling Petrol is so telegraphed, and you don't have
Spell shield
like
is-
permanent availability. Yeah, like once you're level 2, I'd learn E at level 2 in a lot of these matchups. Like I'd be willing to, because like, okay, well I don't get Yuumi poked. Ezreal by himself is never killing me through a Sona. So like, I have infinite mana, you're not gonna play the lane, and I get to give a word to my mid laner. And then E too.
He did go E2, exactly. Yeah, he just blocked the Q there from the Ezreal. We'll see if they can land enough poke to actually make him regret this choice. Also, against Ezreal, anytime I'm playing lane that has the push, you feel way better. It's so much easier to actually avoid the Mystic shots when you are behind the minions, which happens when you get that push constantly. So we'll see if they can do that. Ablazeolive
Ooh,
being
that's
some
a
trouble.
stun. Forcing Ablaze to flash, which means they've got everything they need. Contractz has a red buff, and it's signed in blood. 400 gold owed to the CLG jungler.
Nicely done. Palafox and Contractz able to find that kill there. Setting it up really, really well as he got caught on the stun. I guess he tried to E out to safety, got stunned by the
E?
Worked Earth?
Yeah.
I forget what it's called. Unraveled Earth?
Unraveled Earth.
Unraveled Earth. There
And
you go.
it's super long. It's like 700 range, so it's like,
Yeah.
you're in range. Take a stun, idiot.
Aggressive.
It's Palafox's words, man.
Ever since the update, I mean, the E is crazy. It is absolutely massive at this point. Ablazeolive, though, coming in with the TP very quickly back, trying to push him in. So Palafox is going to have to base. He may need a little bit of help actually fixing this wave. We'll see if Contractz comes back through mid to do just that, to try to help him. Otherwise, he's potentially going to have to base on awkward timing.
And Olleh trying his best to do well in the lane. Has been able to tax the mana pool pretty well of Poome, who hasn't run out at this point. We did see Sona rush a tier and then I think get an upgrade like second or third out of it, which, in pro doesn't tend to happen, but often needs the mana pool. There's the Trinket Ward, and Sivir wants to take a recall, but it's on a ward, so Stixxay can always interrupt this last second. Luger's like, I'm on a ward, aren't I?
I actually like that he didn't Q, because then you don't 100% know. You're kind of assuming because he's stepping towards it. But, kind of a little clever mind game there. Luger, of course, staying around in lane, but Poome does finish the reset, did get a tier, as expected. You mentioned that. It is going to be coming back. I always like tier on these champions.
That's a really good
Luger's
play.
a double.
They knew he's gone. The flash fall, they're going to get him. Luger, he overplays his hand.
Luger punished so hard there. He's playing TP. He doesn't even have a defensive summoner. Poome is not in lane. Golden Guardians makes the read. And even with Spell Shield and Flash, you have Exhaust, you have double, Flash to follow there with the Arcane Shift plus the Flash from Stixxay. So just sticking in on top of him. They get the kill. And now they're actually up quite a bit of farm as well. Luger, thankfully for him, does have TP to come back, at least after it. But that is a rough death.
Yeah, and the read is, it's an uninteractive lane. I'm Spell Shield Yuumi's damage, I got a Sona, like, I don't have to run a combat summoner. I'm just gonna make sure I can TP and play for wave control. And it's like, you have no combat summoners, we have 3.
Yeah.
Whoops.
And I mean, I think it's totally fine if he had just respected the fact that Poome isn't with him in lane, right? But he played up, he still wanted to get gold and experience, even in the 1v2. And then Ezreal can get right back on top of you. You use your Spell Shield to block a Prowling Projectile or Q or whatever, and then Exhaust slow means you just can't really get out of there. So, careless death from Luger. Back up here towards that top lane is Licorice, slightly ahead in the farm. Early Executioners there for Dhokla, looking to try to punish Licorice here. There's not that much healing, honestly, early game, from the Fiora, unless you're proccing vitals pretty consistently. But Viego here threatening on the side means Ablazeolive is going to have to back it up.
Sees the ward get turned off by the sweeper and says, okay, I'll play the left-hand side. Palafox in between cooldowns. It's a good stun. I mean, really good damage here on Ablazeolive. Not quite gonna die to the next combo, but good chunks. Palafox a bit low on mana. Nowhere close yet to the Lost Chapter, but with 2 bits of inventory, actually has about 300 mana to spend. Shouldn't be much of a problem. Bot lane still is priority. I mean, you're never gonna outpush Sivir or Sona unless you can threaten it all in. Ezreal Yuumi tend to not be able to. And so first dragon comes in very early on. CLG, off to a gold lead overall, feeling good.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, both bot laners playing TP in this one, thinking it is going to be that relatively uninteractive lane, more about wave control, less about those all-ins. Of course, that kind of baiting Luger into a little bit of a false sense of security in that previous play. Spell shield down, so trying to land as much focus possible now. But Palafox also going for a strike, so a little bit of an interesting rune choice here. Not going to be going towards something like the area or the electrocute, which I've seen more commonly played in mid lane.
But yeah, he's trying to find like cool all-in windows, which like, okay, you know, electrocute slash first strike makes sense about, as opposed to like just poke heavy like areas. And I'm curious how much he's actually ended up earning. Sadly, he doesn't have enough money to finish a lost chapter, as I think
he has earned 42 gold, and he got 12 of that at level 1. He was able to land a Q on the Azir, so he's gotten 30 gold since level 1. So not much, but of course you can in the later stages of the game. You know, as your damage ramps up, you get a percentage of the damage you deal in gold. So towards the later stages of the game, if you land a full combo with first strike active, it can be a significant little boon of gold there. Yeah,
of course it is itself a damage amp. So if you think, yeah, my combo damage is very high, it fits a similar combat pattern to electrocute. Without requiring 3 different spells. So if you're like, nah, I want bigger chunks off of 5 Q hits because nothing else is going to land. All right, well, the best way to deal that is actually with first strike. Goes for the knockback, finds stun here as well. Level 6 on the Azir, can't find the second bit of the damage. Then now Viego's around, but teammates nearby. Jumps the wall. WE, out you go. Pridestalker's gonna watch. Good spell, shield blocks Ezreal W. Yuumi heals right back up to full, not a problem there. Again, clearing the waves back and forth. Be respectful off the fact that 6 is probably coming first in, jumps in, decent damage, Ignite is on. Again, to Luger, we can block the skill shots, shouldn't be dying to the autos by themselves. Second shield comes across, he will live, trading back on a Stixxay.
Nice aggressive move there, though, and now that Luger has no TP.
Oh!
Pridestalker over the wall, gets the kill, and they can dive Poome. I mean, Poome does have his heal, but there is very little chance he's getting out of this one. You just don't use your E until he flashes, and I don't think he has any chance.
Yep, true shot barrage. Stixxay claims the kill credit, and Golden Guardians say not today, CLG. 2-0, you will stop looking at that first L in the middle.
It is that bot diff here. CLG, you know, off the Seraphine here, off the Senna, and Stixxay and Olleh punishing big time. 2 deaths already for Luger. Yes, Pridestalker did help, but the early advantage that they create is now going to be expanded because dying without TP with the wave pushing towards you means you lose a lot more. They're going to be able to farm the plates. You can look at the gold difference here. 1,300 in the lead for Stixxay there already. Very, very significant, and he had never spent his teleport, so he can come right back to lane to actually answer the push from Sivir.
Yeah, he's gonna look really good on this one right now. 2 minutes to go to the next dragon spawns right now. We'll see if Golden Guardians feel like they have the pressure to make that one a tied score, or if they're okay giving the one away and playing for a little bit later on. Obviously, Azir's gonna feel really good later and later and later on, so might wait for that one. The Licorice Dhokla matchup, by the way, kind of tends to flatten out with game time. Looking at solo queue data again, it doesn't appear from solo queue that Licorice will just like, at 3 items, you know, Fiora walks away with the matchup. Doesn't appear to be the case.
Yeah, I do think it's much more about the setup, right? Like, can you get him in an extended lane where you can really utilize the move speed from the ulti, try to chase this guy down? Of course, Dhokla going phase rush to try to actually answer that so he can disengage in a lot of those plays. And then it kind of comes down to actually, can you parry the Jayce E in melee form, as you were talking about, very predictive in that situation. But one thing that we didn't really comment on earlier is, I will say, it's really hard for Palafox to actually, you know, proc first strike, at least in the 1v1. So maybe if you want it for a lane later. No, he's not going to go for the ulti. Because Azir just has such range. You just Q-poke the first strike proc off constantly. So he's never really having it active. Every time that comes up, Ablazeolive is actually playing behind the minions and just W-Qing him to actually hit him once. So that deactivates the first strike. You have to be out of combat, basically. Or not out of combat, but you have to be the first to hit your opponent, and if they do hit you first, it puts that rune on cooldown once again.
Looking for the fight, not going to find it here in mid lane, clearing away the wave. Contractz says, if you found the shove, I'd go for the play. Ult, stun, something like that. Doesn't mean anything now in this case. Fiora stepping out of lane to see, is there kind of invade going on? Has a control ward, now spots Palafox. Well, the trinket ward did that. And he's like, and now I know Contractz is here. Okay, 3v1. Let's run away. Can he riposte well? Gets stunned, gets over the wall. Riposte not going to matter enough. And burns down. CLG active again on the map. Get the kill into Licorice.
Yeah, that's a really big one. He's going to lose waves here and lose an entire tower in the face. Nice sweep in, though.
If you don't pull aggro, the turret will die first. They go to the fight anyway. Dhokla's going to flash right back out. Will stay alive. Turret won't quite die, actually. A few hits left. They got 3 minutes to knock that one down with a plate.
So a lot of gold there into the pockets of CLG. And Licorice was doing very well in the matchup, and just like that, going to be down about 16 CS. Stixxay here on his lonesome. We'll see, can CLG make anything happen? But Stixxay playing pretty far back. No real angle for a dive to be had there.
And so Olleh is maybe down to this lane. Level 6 on Yuumi is kind of the first big power spike you super care about. And at this point, maybe to sync up with something like a jungler, make the Pridestalker ganks even easier, add some extra CC, probably projectile, just, you know, maybe helps you hit confirm everything else. But as we saw, CLG were the ones making the aggressive play up top side.
Yep. Licorice had the read, but I mean, Viego is already behind him. He does tank the W, is able to actually land this, the parry on the ulti, but would have had to be able to parry the W, I think, to have any chance of getting out. You know, if you parry the stun from Contractz and then can kind of Q flash away, maybe you have a shot, but as soon as that landed, there was no way he was going to get out of there, so like that, he at least held on to the flash. But it is that incremental advantage up towards that top side. Golden Guardians still have a slight lead. But as I talked about, I do think top lane prio is so important towards the later stages for both of their compositions, but especially, I feel like, for CLG. So I like the focus up towards that top side.
Right, yeah, CLG are winning every role that's not the bottom lane. You could argue Pridestalker's up 5 CS, so it's actually him, but realistically, right, top and mid are the ones with kills and assists, so really, really well done to the CLG top side. That has been the primary focus. Yeah, the CLG duo is like, cool, you know, down on the bottom side, like, well, as long as we can scale equally, we're okay, we're chilling, we're supportive. Licorice still going to play up on the lane, take a bit of damage, but as he moves towards an eventual Vamp Scepter at some point in the build, he'll be able to withstand a lot of that.
Yeah, Licorice doing well, I think, you know, in this 1v1. We'll see. Probably going to go Ravenous Hydra second, but could be something like a Death Dance, so he's less concerned.
The stun, Pridestalker wants this fight as well. Pops the ult, he gets away from everything else, and it's going to be a defensive ult out of Contractz because he was concerned about Ablazeolive coming in and shuffling him back out of range of safety. So Pridestalker ultimately trades ult for ult.
Licorice shouldn't go for the all-in. He actually hid over in the alcove, use the blast cone and get back in. We'll see if he wants to go.
Oh, gets 1, gets 2, gets 3 easily. There's a 4th shot, but Dhokla has Phase Rush, basically prevents the all-in possibility, can always outrun the Fiora, lost half his health, then have to back up.
Yeah, maybe if you connect the parry, there's enough of a slow you can try to follow back in, but I don't think he had the damage anyway. Nice attempt, though, from Licorice, gets a little bit of pressure, and now it's going to have to be CLG bailing him out of this situation. I do think he spotted him. Yeah, Licorice sees Contractz on the very edge of that ward, and now the pink ward does spot him again. Looking like he still wants to hang around for now.
And I think he actually should know that he was control warded there because if you're camouflaged and if control sees you, you can say, hey, by the way, you get the exclamation point over your head. It reveals the ward for you. And this tower, I believe, should not die. So
he should let it die. We'll see if... is it actually going to?
Plates are gone. 6 HP. I agree if you let the tower die. Local gold
is gone.
Yeah. First turret is also local gold, by the way. So it would be all that money denied. Ultimately, Contract's going to be safe here. Palafox low. Not going to find the kill. Of course, his ulti was down from the prior skirmish between junglers. Still forces the recall out of Azir.
Yeah, so those little things, I do think it would have been pretty worthwhile. You know, Dhokla not in range for local gold, so you would have been able to deny a good portion. Of course, if you think your team can get first turret itself, then maybe you want to defend. But I do think it seems very unlikely, given that it's one auto attack.
Yeah,
you're
denying 400
could literally just walk up and auto attack it, you know, in front of the minions.
Yeah, we'll see if someone grabs it at some point. Right now, not going to happen, though, as, well, there is recall coming out of Licorice, so Dhokla makes the rush. Okay, TP's going to make that much harder. I'm curious, because, I mean, I'm an idiot, and I'd be like, I'm just going to run in, like, as like, Viego, just, like, power in there and be like, stab, and then hope I don't die.
If you die for it, it's definitely not worth
yeah, I know.
But I think, to me, I think that the safer way to do that is just move your bot lane top and just actually walk up with your jungler. You know, like have a 3-man squad, just walk up to the tower, you know, get one auto down. You should be pretty safe to do that. Or even just move support jungle top with the Jayce. Give yourself that safety to actually push in and finish off that turret.
Well, there we go. Onto the Herald they are, as CLG got pretty much every objective so far, right? 2-0 on Drakes. They're actually up in gold right now, well into them. And now looking at the second Herald, which don't waste it on top tower, you know? Like, just auto it. You don't need to charge for that one. Probably most wasted Herald possible if they did. But you do have Sona top side. Sivir is sitting bot lane, just doing wave clear. Similar to that you can put an Ezreal in, right? Where you can kind of leave yourself alone. You're relatively safe from most risks. Okay, Licorice gonna find decent damage here. Not gonna be able to find the ult play or anything. Of course, Contractz has flash and ulti to get away. Tower dies. Dhokla was there for it. Thank you for the 400 gold. CLG up now to 1,200 in the lead. Bot will be traded back finally.
Yeah, Stixxay very rich, so that is kind of the big hope right now for Golden Guardians. is the gold leader in the game by a fair margin. So doing quite well, but Dhokla again just pushing this up, and he's pounding that tower.
But he's got a teammate, by the way, so he's going to go back in for the play. They get the ulti over the wall. Crescendo sets it up. Licorice.
Oh, the Q.
Back, flashes, dodges away, but now Ablazeolive's here, finds the pullback. That should be enough. No, the shields are good enough. Thank you, Poome. And now Ablazeolive, can he get away? He's going to walk over the rocks, hits back on a Palafox. Shield there, flash of safety. Pridestalker. Ulti gives move speed. Needs to flash in, finds one, blast code it, and you get Palafox as well. Nice snipe by Stixxay. Once again, the move speed for the ulti. It looks silly, but it's the right play, and Pridestalker is almost guaranteed this kill. He's just out of range, but he should kill. There it is, red smite auto. Thank you very much. Golden Guardians get 3 unanswered kills.
Man, that was actually really smart to use the ulti for speed there. I don't think a lot of players do that. Ulting just on nothing for speed, it's 20% move speed, so it's actually a lot. He for sure would not have caught them without that, so really smart stuff. And now TP in, they're going to try to see if they can get Contractz.
Well, DOA Contractz will not be stunned. Luger going to spell shield one Mystic shot, plays all back in, but no ult, no flash, no nothing. Maybe wanted to bait it, but no. Cooldowns were not available, nothing else to be had. So CLG down 1,000 gold, but on Dragon Soul point.
Yeah, and I do favor that quite a lot, right? You know, 1,000 gold is not enough to really matter here, unless Golden Guardians do feel that they're just going to win out in all these 5v5s from here. Licorice trying to look for an aggressive play, but it was Poome over the wall. You can't blame him for not being able to repose that. There's just no shot you're going to be able to get it, but still Licorice procs the Vital, procs the Grasp, flashes out, and then it's the Q flash, but the Q comes back off cooldown there from Licorice. The scoop in onto Dhokla. Licorice doing a good job avoiding most of this damage, and Ablazeolive not walking into the scoop from Palafox was really well played, and then just ulti for the 20% move speed, catches up, flash E, closes that gap, the ulti comes through, cross map, be able to get a second kill, and then again, ulti through here to catch up once more to Pridestalker, in with the EQ, gets a third kill. Nicely fought back there from Golden Guardians, but of course, Soul on the horizon is a big concern.
It is, so they got to make sure they've got control here on the Golden Guardians side, because there's a 3-0 Ezreal who's already on 2 items, where Mana will easily transform by the time this Dragon Soul spawns. Big damage on a Luger, gonna walk away, stays alive, just kidding! True Shot Barrage kills him! Olleh's Ignite gets the kill credit, and it's more on the board. The Golden Guardians bottom lane doing everything they can.
Yeah, playing really well, very aggressively. They are just not afraid at all of going right at Luger here. Spell Shield be damned, Sona be damned. They know they have the damage to get these kills. Ablazeolive in trouble.
And that's going to be huge right there. Ablazeolive just drops Dhokla kill credit, his first of the game. CLG back to a 1,400 deficit, looking at mid lane. With this Herald charge, will not kill it by itself, but if they have the control, they'll be okay. Luger spawns in 2 seconds, will walk down mid lane. Without an Azir, this fight's going to be tough. Bit of poke towards Stixxay. Again, will not quite kill, but they can walk up and go for more. Not quite.
Yeah, pretty confident to be able to walk up, because they also knew Pridestalker had no ulti, right? And there's no real threat of the engage without that being available. So CLG walk it in, get that turret very, very low. But up on top side, Licorice is pushing. And we'll see if he can actually find anyone on transition. If Luger walks a little bit too aggressively, could be in trouble, but just moving out towards mid lane, walking a very safe way here, knowing that Fiora could be in the area. Because Golden Guardians are trying to control vision up on this top side. You know, they have a couple wards in this section, trying to enable the Fiora split push here. As Jayce is kind of at the point where he's starting to group a little bit more, I'm going to be interested to see if Dhokla continues to do that, if it is just going to be about push and then group, or if he really wants to just continue hunkering down and playing through that side lane. As Licorice, looking with the cloth armor, I'm assuming he's going Death Dance second instead of the Ravenous. Which can be really good for that kind of all-in play, the 100-0. I do think it's more effective than the Ravenous, but of course Ravenous does allow you to really shrug off a lot of the poke that Jayce is going to look to do.
For sure, but yeah, deciding to be sort of tankier in the teamfight itself. Obviously, if you're more about 5-on-5, you need the teamfight durability. Ravenous, of course, yes, exceptional for 1-on-1. As you mentioned, lane control and everything else, shrugging off damage, but 30% or what, 12% Omnivamp. You know, you're not getting as much as a Death Dance delaying 30% of all damage taken.
Of course, yeah.
So, yeah, is focused more on that one, which, you know, that is one of the nice things about fighter itemization, right? And I think for most roles as well, you do get to pick the items that fit the game plan that you want. And identifying that game plan and saying, hey, did what I buy match the way I'm going to win this game? Like, that's very important. And in this case, if Licorice is saying, yeah, the way we're winning is I'll make sure I team fight at this dragon, with, you know, now 2 armor items, right? Steel Cast Plus on the way. Okay, right? It's matching the playstyle.
Yep, and we'll see how much they can really kind of bolster their itemization. You know, how much gold can they spend up? Do they buy stopwatches? Things like that. Because Golden Guardians, despite being in a comfortable advantage, that all goes away if you actually lose this next fight. If you lose Soul here, that is going to be much more the advantage that you have actually gained for yourself. And there's a lot of champions that can apply that Infernal Soul tick very easily. You know, Ricochet from the Sivir, Shock Blast from the Jayce, you know, Q from Taliyah, all super easy ways to proc that consistently.
All right, 3 Muramanas online. CLG just got their 2. The first one's already done for Stixxay a little bit ago, but we have the Dragon Soul fight coming now. A 1,000 gold inventory advantage to Golden Guardians, but you can walk that back in stats by the CLG Drakes. Is it going to be enough now? Poome a bit low, will not be one-shot just yet, but the poke out of Azir is so good. A bunch of flat pen, Eluden's Tempest, and a Ryle's to lock him down. I mean, Ablazeolive is so threatening off just WQ auto.
Yeah, it is a lot of damage. It does have the comment as well. And Ryle's does help to hit confirm the comment, which is always a nice little interaction. The slow also going to be valuable. Will they try to trade for anything much? No. I mean, they're just ulting towards top. They're just going to try to go for the tier 2.
Okay.
So they don't feel that they can make their win. I mean, they had no vision in the area, so maybe that's the call. Like, where's the closest ward? They literally have nothing on this entire side of the map. That whole area is just darkness.
Yeah.
So CLG saying, all right, we can't actually enter blind or we'll probably just die to Pridestalker plus Olleh. And then the follow-up, of course, from the others. So they go top. They do take down the tier 2, but you're giving away that dragon for free. You're going to lose the tier 1 mid. So Golden Guardians feeling okay about it, despite going negative in gold on the play. I think still going to be pretty happy with how things turned out.
Back on that we go. We get to pause for another 4.5 minutes. I mean, maybe a Baron setup now that it's alive, but the Golden Guardians to the brink of, you know, feeling uncomfortable, right? I can understand. We're going to play for gold. You'll get Drakes. We'll meet you when it's time. But it feels uncomfortable going to all the way to 3-0 on that, right? Right? Like, you get 2, no sweat. We got 2 shots to deny Soul. It's fine. Like, no big deal. It's like, we're one bad smite away from a 4,000 gold swing Dragon Soul.
Yeah, and that is really scary for Golden Guardians. They're bringing down the Taliyah, though, and Dhokla is behind Licorice. So could have potentially been in trouble, but is actually making the rotation up towards mid. And again, there's just no vision for CLG, so they don't really know where people are. It's very difficult for them to make plays, and Palafox hasn't really been able to find any play at all. Like, I think that was his first ulti of the game up towards top just to try to actually take down that tower. Has been locked in lane very effectively by Ablazeolive. It has been a part of a couple kills. They had some good pressure through mid lane early, but has never really been able to actually get the push and thus unlock himself to move around the map, which kind of just makes it feel like it's going very in Ablazeolive's favor.
Yeah, not quite stunning the Pridestalker. Of course, I think hit decoy in time anyway, that even if it was on target, it still would have been the clone getting the hit. So safe there. The Viego really the only consistent setup, and even at that, hard to call just the W consistent, but otherwise, it is all selfish. Again, I will say that the E being a stun when someone else dashes is very relevant and a really meaningful part of the kit's power.
They were spotted.
Okay, so Golden Guardians, looking at this Baron, but they know for sure they are on wards while doing it, but not really perturbed here. Contractz has ult, has flash, actually doesn't have smite right now, but I don't believe Golden Guardians knows that for sure.
I think they want Jayce to TP. They're trying to make Dhokla TP, and they're going to stay around on it until he does.
Ablazeolive should. No, he's out of. He shuffles. He shuffles in Contractz. Ult back to safety, stays alive. Wukong finds a knockup, but not a ton right now. Yuumi in for a bit more as well, but they can kite back. CLG have the Sona, and you can heal up the team, speed the team out, and Baron will reset. Dhokla did, in fact, teleport over, so a mission accomplished. Golden Guardians got that summoner spell down. Palafox chunked a bit. Mid lane outer drops, though. CLG find their 3rd turret.
I think that was a little bit of an oopsie there. I was just shooting the ulti the wrong way. I think that might have been a mini-map one. I've actually had that happen where if you adjusted the mini-map size, if you put your cursor towards the bottom right of your screen, not actually even on the mini-map,
really,
it will try to anticipate that you're aiming on the mini-map. So if you're moving your cursor towards it, it will actually shoot it the wrong way. So I'm going to give Stixxay the benefit of the doubt that that is actually what happened. Because that is a pretty weird change that has been in there ever since they added the kind of UI adjustment.
I did not know that, because I think I play on full-size minimap.
Yep.
Like, I think all my UI elements are, like, as full as possible.
Yeah. If you got a boomer brain like me.
Well, I mean, I definitely need the big minimap.
Yeah.
I have very tunnel vision as a player, but actually everything else is because I stream some, and letting viewers, like, especially if they're on, like, phone, like, oh, you can actually see my health bar.
That's true.
My mana bar is always empty. We get that one, but the health bar, we try to give people
the
ability to see it.
But either way, CLG coming out pretty well, I think, all things considered. Because yes, they got the TP off Dhokla, but Licorice actually TP'd too, because I think he thought it was going to be a committed fight. They did go positive in Summoners still, I would say. Yes, Olleh spent his, but getting flash off Palafox and Contractz is relevant. Yeah. So we'll see if they can actually force anything again during this time. You know, honestly, if I was Golden Guardians, I would be happy if both Dhokla and Licorice are not in the fight and just start the Baron with 4 men. Because I do think it's a really winning 4v4 for your team, and it looks like that is going to be the read here. Azir can knock this down very quickly.
Fiora is far. Licorice without teleport, by the way, and chilling way on the far side. Ultimately, yeah, they don't pull a whole lot. They do give Licorice some time to knock the waves down, and Contractz will ult for ult with Yuumi. Not sure which one I like more, honestly. I almost prefer the Yuumi ultimate, but we still have more skirmishing towards the mid side here. Stixxay really jumping up, feels very safe from engage. Good chunk towards Luger. Will heal up a little bit off of Sona helping. By the way, it is lethality Sivir on her way towards Sirolda's third.
I will say though, you know, Contractz now no flash, no ulti, so it makes it hard for him to get in for the dragon, right? So maybe they're kind of okay making that trade as a result of that. They also have the Azir tower up here as some defense. Taliyah is kind of moving down towards mid, but now decides to go back up towards top. Viego threatening a little bit of a flank, but Pridestalker can take this fight.
This is a lot. Contractz alone in the river. We know he has no ult. We know he's got no hope. And that is Golden Guardians shuddering the faith of CLG.
Yeah, that is a big deal there. Contractz no ult, no flash, just kind of walks up very boldly to try to clear that vision by himself. Taliyah had shown top. The rest of his team was showing mid. So they know he's by himself, and he just ends up dying there. A very easy pickup for Golden Guardians. They grab the dragon, not going to commit towards that Baron just yet, but they could actually go up now for it. And I think they may as well start it up. You still have a good 20 seconds. You add another 20 or 30.
That is a good wall, actually. You just bought yourself. I mean,
they can just go over it.
Yeah, okay. You still bought yourself like 5 seconds, though, okay? You didn't buy as much as you could have.
That wall was incredible.
It was an okay wall. It was the mediocre wall of Los Angeles, okay? It did something. Look, Baron's not dead.
Wukong hops over it.
Baron's not dead, Azeal. I don't want to hear it. The idea was very sound.
True.
The idea was like 85 decibels. Okay. It was very sound.
Oh my god. Anyone else want to cast with this guy?
There's a long list, I'm sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, well now they might actually lose Baron. They just kind of like, oh, cool, we can't do a Baron. I guess I'll base. And CLG are just going to take it.
Wow, okay. That is a goof by Golden Guardians. That is a very rough mistake. CLG right back to driver's seat.
Really set him up.
That wall! Oh, could you... All right, we need Jat back on the telestrator.
Yeah.
Right, he did a pregame segment.
I can do the Jat. He just kind of goes like this.
Yeah. Well, he had a pregame segment that was, how did Immortals beat FlyQuest? He did his whole thing and just circles after move, wasting his ult. I want him to do that segment. How they win this game? He's just like, this wall.
Yeah.
And then just like goes back, sits down. All right, I want to see that one. Jat stats with Palafox walls that turn it. Yeah, Licorice.
He's in trouble.
Yeah, looking a bit tasty. A little bit of a snack here. Gets down to half HP and gets knocked around. He's been for more. Gets a bit close, finds the heal, but nowhere near enough. Thank you for the gold.
It kind of feels like the wheels just fell off for Golden Guardians. Really just kind of lost focus, I think, of the fact that their opponents could counter Baron. When you go to Baron this late in the game, and then you're like, all right, we're not going to do Baron, and your whole team bases with no vision on Baron, it's such an easy take for your opponents. And CLG just say, thank you very much. They grab that Baron, no problem. And then Licorice out towards bot side, there's literally no wards. Like, he has nothing. There's no vision for him. So, you know, he was boldly pushing past the river without any wards at all. Gets punished for his hubris, and now CLG on the push here with Baron can take a lot. I mean, Luger's going to take down the tier 2 mid very easily. Pridestalker potentially in trouble. They're going to take down the tier 2 bot. The gold lead is going to explode. It was Golden Guardians favored. You know, they were like 1K up. Yeah. And just like that, it's about a 4K swing here for CLG.
Wow, Rebel Baron power play already at 4,000 gold, and you can see, yep.
Woo. Off a cliff, right there.
Yeah, right there.
Right when he walled.
Right there.
The whole game turned.
We're actually showing a wall, you know, going to the bottom right. That's actually just, you know, how CLG have done it. I'll have to get your heart out. It's the red wall in this one.
Are we
Here
gonna
we go.
say,
Yeah! Exactly!
Okay, let's go.
Palafox was out of building.
There it is, right there. Look at that slow-mo. Look at the wall. Wow!
And look, Ablazeolive.
Everyone just goes
2, 3, 4, 5. Finally gets to move.
Yeah, Ablazeolive completely blasted by that wall.
Yeah.
There was no counterplay.
There was no counterplay.
There was nothing you could do.
W was on cooldown.
It was just a wall gap this game.
Absolute wall gap,
Absolute
honestly.
wall gap.
Taliyah builds better walls than Azir does. Contractz forced to get away. Has to burn his ulti defensively again. Pridestalker dives in, wants this one, but there's just no damage anymore. Pridestalker gonna burn a stopwatch, but that means Stixxay gets shoved in and dies. He had flash, he gets hit, and he falls. And CLG go for more. Luger flashes in for a slow, stunned up by Fiora. Big shuffle back by Azir, but it's not gonna matter. It's 3 unanswered kills. It's CLG looking for the first 3-0 start they've had in 5 years, and they're on the way now.
I think they've got it. 40 seconds here on Licorice, 40 seconds on Ablazeolive. Stixxay down for ages. No wave clear here for Golden Guardian. CLG find the fight, and they're going to find the win.
Oh, could you believe it? CLG defend the faith, looking at a couple of final kills to make sure. Budlet Ace comes through. Where were you when CLG ended week 1 in first place?
What a performance from them. Nice comeback there, punishing Golden Guardians big time for losing focus, not tracking them around the Baron. They take the Baron, they get a kill on Licorice, they win a big team fight, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, CLG close out this game very quickly. A 32-minute game. It was looking like we were going to be settling in for a 45-minute game, winning off Soul, that type of play.
Yep.
But CLG find the windows here to punish Golden Guardians, get the maximum out of those fights. And I mean, you can see the look on the Golden Guardians' faces. They are frustrated.
Yeah.
No surprise there. They know that they were in a great spot, but CLG found the windows to make it work here after what was a pretty tough early game.
It was, yeah. I mean, we were trading sides on that pretty heavily. CLG clearly playing toward both Palafox and Dhokla. His first setup on kill was great, level 3, like really, really good job. Set it up, counters at the kill, off to the races, wonderfully done. And they spent that time and that money coming back to top side, making top look good. They got top tower to like 6 HP, 13 minutes in the game. That all went well. They had, I think, both heralds, I'm pretty sure. So that was all really well done by CLG. But, by CLG on the other side, you had Golden Guardians who were really crushing bot lane.
Yeah.
Like, they just did well in the 2-on-2. Yes, mistakes are made, of course, but we had a 3-0 Ezreal, right? Stixxay is really, really big. And I was like, okay, we're top versus bot, okay. And for a while, Golden Guardians caught back up, but they forgot Baron was there, blindsided. They walked away from Baron. It's like, we can't see it. Must not exist on the map anymore. And CLG's like, I guess we'll take this.
Yep, I mean, CLG, they take the Baron, they punish those mistakes, and sometimes that's a lot of what pro play is, punishing the errors, punishing the windows that your opponents do show for you. It does make it hard, I think, to evaluate this game, though. You watch this game, and it felt like, first time bot lane, is not playing kind of the farming enchanter style, right? Something a little bit different. Senna was banned out, Seraphine was banned out. They bring out the Sona, so they're clearly very in on the enchanters. But bot lane had some struggles here for sure for CLG, and it did feel like Golden Guardians were in a pretty strong position. Had taken a couple dragons in a row. They have this Ezreal, Azir, Yuumi, like really strong scaling at that point, and felt like they were poised to maybe take that game. But CLG punished what was a pretty good mistake, and are able to close it out very, very quickly after that. So it's interesting. I still don't feel like I have the best read on how strong is CLG when they are playing more standard, and can they actually continue to play that enchanter style. And it's going to be really interesting to see this over the coming weeks, because they have come out of the gates extremely hot. I think they're really, really should be very happy with this early 3-0 in Super Week. I think proving a lot of people, myself included, wrong. I had them very low in the power rankings. So really should be proud of, I think, their week 1 performance.
Right, so 2 thoughts for me. One is this is the first win they've had over a team that was in playoffs in Spring Split. Other 2 wins were against the right bottom 6 teams. So, okay, if we take every game at face value and it's like, you deserve all those wins, you're better than those teams, they are a 6th place team just based on results, not yet seeing them play the top 5. Because they haven't yet, right? So we'll see them play 5 hours later, we'll see them play C9 later. Like, they can go up the standings, sure, but like, okay, you can comfortably put them at least 6th. You can be more faithful, say higher, that's fine. On the other side is, hey, every team around the world is figuring out, like, what is the best way to play League in 12-11 onwards? And if they're like, yeah, it's weak side bot, whether that's enchanters or just a wave clear marksman, and it's all enchanters for support and it's all top side play, okay, then they figured out the meta, right? And like, that's cool, they can keep doing that.
And I mean, it definitely worked a lot better than what Dignitas was doing with weak side top, right? So very clearly we have 2 teams that had very different reads. CLG performing much better in week 1.
Looking very good so far. 3-0 for CLG. And after the break, I'll be going pro to pro with Big Dokes. But before we go, join Riot and the LCS in celebrating Pride all month long.
You better get out your chair. Haters even be like